sort of felt like that was a pretty good policy to teach a youngster to really learn how to have fun and go out and just pop it. And then all of a sudden, as he gets a little bit older and he starts to think a little bit about trying to score, then you try to keep him on the golf course. Now, how did you do that with me?
Well, I don't know. You just, whatever I'd say, you would do. And I would draw a comparison with baseball pitchers. All great baseball pitchers had a fastball, which is power, speed. Lefty Grove, all the fellows that could really smoke that ball would turn out to be great pitchers. And they learned to throw the hard fastball first, then learn control. It's the same thing in golf. You learn to hit the ball far and then learn control. And I still believe that's true, is to be able to hit the ball far and hit it high. And you were one of the exceptions. I mean, you just hit the ball far right from the go, and you wanted to hit the ball far right from the go. And from there on, you learned control.
Jack, you've had a lot of the pros through the years, and a lot of the amateurs come to you. You have, I know Ray Floyd comes to you an awful lot. You have probably had 30 or 40 of the pros on the tour come to you from time to time. How do you handle them differently than you handle me, or what do you try to do with somebody when he comes to you?
Well, all swings are different, you know, as Jack. I mean, some of them are flat, some of them are upright, some are short, some are tall. But I usually take what they have and then I try to practice on what they're bad with. In other words, all these players come to me with good grips, or they wouldn't be there to be a fine player. Now, some of the fellas possibly don't practice as much as they ought to, but I mean, I always try to help all the fellas. I've had a lot of amateurs come to me that I'm sure that I've improved in time. Some of the fellas are, as you know yourself, they're impossible.
Oh, sure.
So some people just can't play the game. That's
well,
all.
you get a lot of women come to you too, Jack.
Yeah,
a lot of pretty good women players. What do you do? What do you do with the women?
Do the same thing as women do with men.
I mean, but women don't have the strength that men have.
You have the strength, but you can generate speed with full turning, better understanding of the inside movement, backswing, hit the ball from the inside.
Well, you just struck on something right there that I've always appreciated. You taught me. You said understanding. You always taught me to understand what I was doing with the golf swing, understand the moves of the golf swing, not only how to do it, but why to do it. And I think that has probably been the greatest thing that you taught me, is teaching somebody, you know, why you do something, and then they understand it completely, and if they can understand it, then they can become their own teacher. I remember Bobby Jones, he sat down with my dad and I, and matter of fact, it was at Richmond in 1955. It was the first national amateur I qualified for. And Jones sat there and he said, you know, Mr. Nicklaus, and he said, and you, Jack, he says, you know, he says, I was a good player when I was a youngster, and you know, because you knew Bob Jones and saw him grow up. And he said, I didn't become a great player until I learned how to correct myself on the golf course. And as I was playing around the golf, if I got myself in trouble, if I didn't know why I got myself in trouble, then I would have a bad round. And he said, you know, you've heard of Jones's 8 lean years. He said, I went through those 8 years, and every time I had a problem, what did he go back? Was it Stuart Maiden?
Stuart Maiden, yeah.
Yeah, he used to go back to Stuart Maiden. He says, okay, Stuart, what did I do wrong? And Stuart would help him, and pretty soon he learned what to do. And that's what you did to me. I always ran back to you as a kid. Every time I played a tournament, I'd come back and you'd say, come on, Jackie boy, let's go out there and hit some more. You'd have me playing 36 holes, hitting balls in the morning, hitting balls at noon, hitting balls at night. And, but I wanted to do that. But each time we played, you made me learn something of why I was doing something and the mistakes I made. And I think that was the greatest thing you ever did for me, because it allowed me to graduate from being dependent on you to being dependent on myself.
Well, Jack, you know, you were an exception to all rules of the game. What do they say? Some people are born to be great, and some people are, what is it, learn to be great or whatever. But you had great ambitions, and you were a strong lad, and you're wide awake, and you're a smart fella. You were smart when you were a kid. You wanted to learn the game. You did everything I asked you to do. I've seen you practice in windstorms that a brave man wouldn't venture out there in. I've seen you. I would say to you, I said, Jack, if you ever play in Scotland, you're going to have to learn to play in the heavy winds, the hard winds. I've seen you practice in rain. I've seen you practice in snow, hail, whatever, and you didn't care. You just wanted to play golf.
Well, I remember how many times in the wintertime at Scioto, we used to go down the first fairway, and the snow would be on the ground, and we'd take a shovel and a broom, and we'd go cover a flat spot off and get the snow off of it, and we'd hit balls. Of course, couldn't pick them up because you couldn't find them.
You couldn't lose them. Yeah.
And we'd just wait till the next snow, and we hit everybody's practice balls that were in the club. And then we'd try to figure out a way to separate them in the springtime. And then that one year we put the half a Quonset hut up.
Yeah, that was nice and warm on me.
Oh, that was great. I mean, we put this half a Quonset hut up here, and we put a heater back there, and we hit balls out in the snow all winter long. And
you used up all my balls.
I used up all your balls, all my balls, and all everybody else's balls.
Well, that seemed like a long time ago, Jack.
Jack Grout, it was a long time ago.
It was great, and I've always admired the way you and your family, and I've admired the way you've played, handled yourself like everyone else, and you're a great champion.
Thank you. Jack, something that you and I have done every year is that at the start of the winter season, before I go on tour, you've always gotten me to come down and say, okay, or at least I come down to you and I said, Jack, I'm a beginner. And you've started me out fresh. We start with the grip, the stance, and everything. And, why do you think that's a pretty good practice for most people?
Have to review the fundamentals of the game, the hands, the feet, and the stance, posture, and everything.
Doesn't make any difference how good a player you are.
It don't make any difference. You can fall into bad mistakes by just thinking about it sometimes, laying off, say, in the wintertime like people do. You forget sometimes. You're thinking sometimes something different that might improve you. And a lot of people do that a lot of times. They want to get away with what they know better, and they want to try something different. That's the main thing. Well,
from my standpoint too, Jack, I feel that coming to you early in the year, all those things happen, but also it's at a time when I've had a layoff. Not only have I forgotten some of the good things, but I've forgotten a lot of my bad habits.
Well, that's good to forget those.
That's right. I forget my bad habits and forget the way maybe I was swinging, some of the bad habits I had from the year before, and we try to start out fresh that year, and I started, boy, I said, let's put my hands on the club right. Let's get my feet sitting properly. Let's get my head postured properly on my body. Let's get the proper stance, all the things that you need to get started. I think that's great. Now, you have a lot of people that come to you, Jack, and, I might be one who might be a fairly decent player, but you have a lot of people that come to you in the same way that are never going to be great players, but they enjoy playing the game of golf, and they want to have fun playing the game of golf. When you get a fella who's never going to be better than a 7 or 8, obviously he wants to be a scratch handicap, but he's never going to be a 7 or 8. How do you get him to enjoy the game of golf, have fun, and accept what his limitations are, and to go out and enjoy the game? What do you try to tell him?
Well, I asked him first, I said, how's your game going? What shall we work on today? I said, is your short game good or your long game good? Or I said, what's happening to you out there now? You're still a 7 or 8 handicapper. You have good power. You have pretty good swing. What happens out on the golf course with you?
So that's what you work on.
That's what you work on.
But you make him enjoy it. You want him to learn to enjoy it.
That's right. And I examine his clubs and see if he has the proper clubs in his bag, the shafts and everything, and see his clubs are in good shape and go from there.
How many people do you find that come to you have clubs that they can't play with?
60% at least.
Yeah.
Got the wrong clubs in their bag, the wrong shaft. You take some fella that's... I've had pros come to me, big hitters, and they got a soft shaft in their bag. And I said, why do you have a soft shaft in your bag for? He said, I get more power. And I said, you don't need more power. You need to hit it straighter. Yeah. Learn to hit it straight, down the fairway. That's where the money is. You don't play out of the bushes.
Getting back to this fella that comes to you and you work on the short game, it seems to me then that what you're trying to do is if a fella's, let's say, a 7 or 8 handicap, and he should be a 2 or 3 handicap, or he's a 15 and should be a 10, and it's a short game, you're trying to eliminate the part of the game that he has trouble with so that he will enjoy all the game. If he enjoys all the game, then he'll be satisfied with a great part of it and have a lot of fun with it. But if he has one part that he fears, in other words, I went for a long time where I really feared playing certain kinds of pitch shots.
Like what?
Well, the pitch shots over the bunker. You remember when I went to Phil back in 1980, and Phil helped me get the ball over the bunker. I don't have any fear of those shots anymore at all. And I used to hate missing a green because I feared a certain shot. Now I don't fear it, so I don't